It's Tuesday, motion is moving. I mean, really moving. We got about 12 projects we're pushing out today, from DTG to DTF, embroidery. In this video, we're gonna go over 5 ways to be a better customer when submitting your tech packs either overseas or domestically. The first thing that we all gotta understand is be a human being. Whether you're going to place a big order, small order, looking to just get a sample, you gotta meet these people like me, or just meet your manufacturers in general where they're at. You gotta understand that life is always moving. We're all human, and charge it to the game, okay? And what charging it to the game means is if there's a mistake and it's not repetitive. For example, if I were to order clothes for our brand and I drop the ball and order us the wrong things, you're probably gonna get mad at me, okay? But put you in that situation. Say something was going on in your head and you accidentally, ordered the wrong things. You're gonna want me to be okay with it, right? So charging it to the game is just having compassion, empathy, and just understanding that we are humans at the end of the day. So the first thing in being a good customer, well, it varies, but for me, having proper communication. In this industry, what does that look like? Proper communication is calling out everything, giving too much information. If you're looking for certain measurements, if you're looking for certain print types, if you're looking for certain processes that you're looking to implement, right? So for example, if you need 100 t-shirts, but you don't say the size, and you just say 100 t-shirts, standard pocket print. Everybody has a different standard pocket print. So one of the most common ways that I see poor communication, it's in the guideline, is rush orders, right? It's okay, I know we're all human, we all gonna have some shit happen. But in most cases, one of the questions that I love to ask these individuals that are coming to me with rush orders, talking about, I needed it yesterday. When did you know that you were gonna have this project deadline? And most of the time they're like, a month ago or a couple weeks ago. And I look at them and I'm not that compassionate at that point, but I still am trying to help them out because I don't want to make them look stupid. My philosophy is I show love until you give me a reason not to show love. But in order to get them to understand is, if you knew about it a month to 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and you didn't call me that day, why shouldn't I charge you all the way, But proper communication is both ways. If I'm not communicating to you what's going on in our side, you're not gonna know, so then you're gonna get pissed off. But then if you're not communicating expectations that you want or that you need, you're gonna feel like, man, this guy doesn't care about me, when in reality, it's nothing like that. Long story short, proper communication from both parties is the most important. I'm not gonna say all of these are in order, but communication, effective communication, is probably the #1 most important thing that you need to keep in mind. One thing that I always try to say is, when you're creating your files, create the canvas to the file size that you want. So if you want an oversized 15 by 20 print, then in your canvas, you design it at 15 by 20. You save everything and send it over, it stays at 15 by 20. All right, so the second thing, the way you send your files really matters. PNG is probably the easiest way, but it needs to be vector. How do you create a vector file? Starts by going into Illustrator. And now if you don't have Illustrator, you can find someone online. Go to Google, you'll be able to find someone that does it for like $5-10, okay? What a vector is just essentially straight, hard edged lines. For DTG and printing like that, you can kind of get away with it, but it won't look good. And if it doesn't look good, you're ultimately gonna have a shitty product, right? The best file types to send over are AI, PSD, PNG, PDF, and lastly, the least one, JPEG. I've had people send me like Google presentation slides with designs on there. And so me as a manufacturer, I'm looking at that, I'm like, man, they don't want to pay for design time, but this is the only file they got. And then I call them like, you don't have anything else? Well, no, that's my design. I would say that kind of leads into the third one, right? If you're not good at design and they tell you that you probably need 30 minutes of design for them to clean up your files, take it. Don't cheap out on your brand. And I think that's where many people fuck up, or when you're building your brand, is you're trying to cheapskate it. And so you can find quality shit for low prices, but at big bulk quantities. And say you don't want that. Well, you can't have a luxury brand wearing all gilded. Like, that don't make sense, right? If they make recommendations, it's not because they're trying to fuck you over. It's because they want to help you out. I'm always like that. Sure, some people do tax on helping you out, but see if you can negotiate. See if you're like, well, what can I do to ensure that I can bring the pricing down? Because when people pay design, you want to know where a lot of the money goes? And me searching for the shit. If you give us the shit ready to go, you save a lot of money. And so, you know, that's number 3. I'd say number 4, the big thing is knowing what processes you're looking for, knowing what the finished product will look like for those processes, right? Say if you send us a thing and you're like, I want embroidery, and this logo is crazy eccentric, I'm gonna look at you and say, I think it'd be better printed. So keep this in mind. When you design something on a screen, you see it at 100% detail. That's because you have the light pushing through the screen, and that's our eyes. When it comes to the physical world from the digital realm, you lose 10% per each thing. Embroidery, you're kind of about like 15 to 20%. Screen printing is about 15% variance. Screen printing is not detailed. Embroidery is more so detailed. We digitize, we bring certain things out, but you can only do so much when it's digitizing or it's thick on thick. Like, you can't overdo embroidery. Embroidery is elegant. Now, screen printing, you can get away with doing some crazy shit. You can get some crazy detailed things, but you're gonna pay a premium, okay? So you have to understand what the end goal is. DTF, I'm on my channel talking shit about it. I'm not gonna push that to the masses, but if I have my own business, I'm gonna use DTF. If I have my own samples and I don't have access to DTG, I'm gonna use DTF. If I wanna make a photo shoot ready kit and I wanna use the multiple designs and I'm only got 12 garments and I'm gonna need to make something for each of those, I'm gonna use DTF. DTG is a little more time consuming now that I'm involved in doing it, but it's worth it. I like DTG. DTG, you see people fading away from it because they want to make money. They want to create more profit. In my industry, if these machines aren't running, there's no money. You might see them not running. Well, we've been running all day. This is a break time. I told everybody Poppy needs to make some videos. That's where we build. Because behind me, right? Because then I have like laser, DTG, DTF, embroidery, screen printing, promotional products. So as we're growing, knowing what you really want for the expectations or for your garment itself is really gonna help. So that's number 4. Then last but not least, how you send your files over, I think is ultimately tying it all together. And why I say it ties it all together is it makes it easy to understand. So we're gonna go over my tech pack. Sending a tech pack, you'll see I have them pretty detailed page by page. You can see in the left corner, I have about 7 pages in total. So each page, I make sure to split it up. Everybody has different styles of tech packs. Nobody's right or wrong. Some may take a little longer, some may not. Your tech pack is you. Have fun with it. My tech pack right now, this is like just a super simple, turn it up quick. There are some that I make super colorful, but why do I need to make them colorful when in reality, we should be focusing on details? So you'll see here in the first one, I have my design. The front design side, I fucked up, but they understood. 14:7, PSD file size to spec. So all of my files are sent correctly. I'm calling out the big things that I want. A, distressing. B, sewn tag. C, sewn, like, there's so many different things that I'm calling out. And I'm purposely putting it in places for them. Same thing, love is war. 16:20, PSD file size to spec. I'm making sure that I'm doing the hard work for them so that they're not wasting their time. And you, when you're submitting these, this is how you're able to, 1, save yourself a lot of money and not have to have us produce mock-ups or not have to have whoever you're going through produce the mock-ups. So then I'm calling out specifics, right? I want my metal hardware. They can even see like the circles, they mean something, the square means something. And so it's like a table of contents. Photos are super important. So if you're like, hey, I want a distress wash, or I want like a vintage crack, or I'm looking for this type of embroidery, just giving me a screenshot of what you want, that's game changing, because I can look at that, I can associate that with the notes. Metal hardware, I give them the exact thing that I want. What type of zipper pull do I want? Say I wanted this rounded one because the design itself. And so typically when you're doing stuff like this on samples, you're probably not going to get them. You can start the molds, start the processes, but on a sample to get all of this like custom, you're probably going to spend like 500. I spent about 120 on this. So then I have my notes, fabric, weight, what it is, again, notes. So then they're going to print this out, or they should print this out, or be able to see it opened up. Additional notes, let them know what I want, right? Then I give them my woodland overlay. And then when I send this, I send all my files as well. So that's a quick overview of what it looks like to send a decent sized file. So there you have it, right? The top 5 things in my eyes that are gonna make you a better customer, a better individual to work with. Communication, sending the right files, understanding that if we make recommendations, it's in your best interest, knowing what type of process you want. And lastly, in your tech pack, having everything, mock-ups, designs, additional notes, what type of fabric we need or what type of fabric we're using if you're supplying the things. Go be great. Motion,